That was a pretty good episode. So, usually I do 3 big yays and then 3 big nays. But this week, I'm mixing it up. Big nay number 2. The opening credits title card. I've really shrugged it off at this point and I haven't really brought it up, but I really don't like these opening titles. Considering the original Dexter titles, the fact that these titles are now so opposite and different, it's just, they're not working for me at all. The original Dexter opening titles for seasons 1 to 8 were gorgeous, amazingly shot, beautiful stylized cinematography of close-ups of Dexter getting ready for work. There's all this blood splattered everywhere and there's blood oranges, and it kind of shows the hyper-realism and hyper-stylized world of Dexter, but also showing the kind of campy, on-the-nose, dark humor, and like, you know, it's a blood orange, get it? Blood. And that's classic Dexter, like, sometimes it's just very on the nose and silly and dumb. And the opening titles kind of show, like, everything about the series at once, but it's also just beautiful. The music is just incredible. I could listen to that music all day long. And honestly, it's probably one of the greatest long-form opening sequences for a TV series ever. And now we get this kind of budget, supernatural style opening where it's just like, Dexter, new blood. And it's all crackling with ice and there's cheap, shitty little blood at the bottom. And it just feels like this really cheap Game of Thrones Season 8 fan-made poster where it's all like, get it, it's all ice because of the White Walkers and blood because death or something. It just feels really cheap and lazy and boring. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And then, to follow that up, they're like, actually, you want to see even worse things to start the episode? How about a clip show of the whole episode? Just little bits and clips. And I'm like, no thank you. Why would I want that? Just show me the episode in, just as the episode is. Don't give me little clips and sequences and snippets. I hate it. I hate it. And I've been biting my tongue because there's been worse things to talk about. But honestly, this episode was actually so good. I was like, oh my god, do I even have any big nays? Apart from the obvious big nay that we all know I'm going to mention every week. Big nay number 1. Dead Ghost. Again. I'm really not even going to say anything at this point because I'm just going to repeat myself every single episode. Go back to the other episodes that I've recorded, reviewing the rest of the episodes about why I dislike Dead Ghost. I just miss Harry. I don't like Dead Ghost. Honestly, this is the best episode she's in. There's a sequence which I'm going to bring up in the big yays that I really enjoy her in. But generally speaking, just still the performance, the characterization, most of it is off. But she gets 2 moments in this episode. And one, I may as well mention here, this is mostly a big yay episode. I really like this episode. So there's a moment with Deb. And look at me, I'm happy that Deb's in the show, kind of for a little bit. I mean, I still kind of wish it was Harry. But there's a moment where there's a 1,000 Debs everywhere. And they've all got posters being like, we love you, Dexter. We love you, Dexter. And that's a really fun, great callback to Dexter's kind of self-ego and wanting everyone to love the fact that he's the Bay Harbor Butcher. He kills the killers. He's not doing the wrong, he's a good serial killer in his mind with his Harry code and all that. Oh, is you? But that season 1 finale where everyone's got banners and there's like planes going off being like, we love you, Dexter, and all this amazing stuff to end the season. He's like, I think people would like that I killed the ice truck killer. We had a little fun callback to that and Deb was involved. So, maybe this is big yay number 5, really. I mean, I don't really like involving Deb in the big yays though, so let's keep that with a big nay. But she is still the weakest part of the series, and for an episode that I pretty much loved, the only bits that I wasn't absolutely, in love with this episode was with her still. Big nay number 4. Harrison says fuck Nugget. It seems like a simple little thing, but honestly, so much joy was brought to me. It's like, you can do callbacks and fun little references to the original series if they advance the story and develop the characters in this series. It doesn't feel like a cheap callback to be like, I don't really, we get this really tender, honest moment between Dexter and Harrison when they're kind of bonding over the fact where he's like, Harrison says this and he's like, Deb used to say that. And he's like, oh, I don't really remember much, but I do remember, when I was living with you, Dexter, that Deb swore a lot. And that's a really fun callback. Deb's foul mouth was one of her main kind of, attributes. She's an amazing character with all these other things, but she was super foul-mouthed. And so the fact that that was the thing that stood out to him as a child, as a very small baby boy, is really fun, and it's a bit silly, and it reminded me of the old show, and it's a really great callback, and it sets up kind of more callbacks that we're going to get that turn out to be a lot darker and more horrible and sad and twisted as the episode progresses. Which leads me to Big Yay number 3, Trinity Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. We are getting so close to Dexter being in prison, recording a Bay Harbor Butcher podcast in the final episode, in the final scene. We're getting so close, I can taste it. I can taste it. And it tastes like beer and steaks. Oh, yeah, it does. So, Harrison finds the podcast and he's listening to it and he filters through them. We don't see a Bay Harbor Butcher one, but we're saving that for the finale. What he does find, though, is more horrific and terrifying. A podcast about the Trinity Killer. And him listening to that, and us hearing, like, this lady go through this podcast, like, discussing and analysing and just, going through the season 4 events with the Trinity Killer was really disgusting and awful and horrible to hear. But what was even worse was, like, seeing Harrison's face and reaction to it all. It was really surprising how affecting it was. And then that final line where she's like, he was born in blood. How screwed up must this kid be? And then seeing Harrison's face and being like, okay, show, we've come to a point now. Are we doing this? Are we doing this? This will he, won't he be a serial killer thing? We've come to a precipice. Now you have to decide, show, are we doing this? You gotta give me something. You gotta give me something. Whoa, show. Whoa, show. You don't have to give me something straight away. You don't have to give me something straight away, which leads me to Big Yay number 2, the school shooting mystery. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy, does the episode take an absolute turn at this point. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I was sitting there begging the show to give me something, and then the show's like, can you handle this? And I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for this. This is only episode 4. What are you doing to me, show? It was really terrifying. Last week, we got a potential school shooter kind of friend for Harrison, where he's drawing all these pictures and stuff like that. But I really didn't think it to escalate so quickly in this episode. And so when Dexter's running into the school, I had no idea what to expect. Has Harrison been involved with the shooting? Has just this guy been? Dexter's right back on board. Like, this is really what I wanted the show to be. Like, it really makes me go like, oh, no, okay, we can have a slow episode like last week. Like, sometimes when you're watching it week to week, you can kind of be a bit down when an episode's just like a slow setup episode. But as soon as we have Harrison sitting there, he's got a bit of a flesh wound, but, he's safe, he's not dead, and he's telling the story of what's happened and everything, we start to get a bit of an inkling that something's up. You can't fool me, Dexter New Blood. This isn't my first rodeo. I've seen a TV series before, and I can tell when someone's being a little bit of a unreliable narrator. Like, I see through your lies, Harrison. But you know what really makes it exciting? Is watching Dexter see through Harrison's lies. Like, oh boy. We've hit a moment. We've hit the precipice. The show is now at a stage where it's at a cliff and it's falling. And it's terrifying and exciting and exhilarating to think, okay, oh my lord, like, this is what the show is actually going to do. Like, this is why we're getting this limited series. Like, Dexter New Blood. The title is all suddenly making more sense. It's not just Dexter's, New Blood, but no, it's Harrison. Like, this show is about Dexter realizing that Harrison may or may not have the Dark Passenger. And he does. I was a little afraid that the show was going to kind of slow down to this bit of a slog through the middle act after episode 3, but this episode proved me wrong. We've hit a moment, we've hit a precipice, we're on a cliff edge, and I'm waiting for us to all fall off with the revelation of what is going to be the truth of Harrison. And that all really comes down to Big Nay number 1. Dexter, the blood guy. Blood spatter analyzes Harrison's botched crime scene. Even just saying those words, shivers all over my body. Oh, it's exciting. Oh my lord. I have to take back past grievances I've said in other episode reviews about wishing Dexter was a blood spatter analyst at the cops. and not just like working at a gun shop or whatever. So I was like, I miss that. I miss him having that kind of angle, having that CSI angle and looking where we get the CSI forensics. But instead of it being like Monk or the Mentalist, it's Dexter, the serial killer, with the blood initiative, where he'd like, initiative, that's not the right word. It doesn't matter. But we're looking at all the blood, see all the blood on the ground, and he's like, actually, the wife didn't kill him, because the blood never lies. It's so much fun. It's such a unique angle that the show has. It's such a different take on that CSI forensic kind of style of show, and it was a really interesting aspect. But to have that build up over all these episodes, to have it finally come out where Dexter does it in secret, trying to prove that his son is a murderer, because deep inside, as Ghost Deb says, somehow she's not that bad in this episode. I don't know how it happened, but she's like, no, you're just trying to prove that he's a monster like you. And it's like a really interesting thing of like, is he trying to just prove that he's a monster like him, or does he just really see what the blood sees? Because as he says, blood doesn't lie. The spatter doesn't match. Woo! So, Dexter, he notices the blood. He sees Harrison's wound up close and he's like, that doesn't seem right. And it's like, and then he goes back and has a scene with Ghost Deb, which isn't terrible. And they analyze the blood and they go through it all. And he has the revelation that no, he's right. He's not just trying to conjure it in his mind so that him and Harrison have something in common. Harrison is a monster. He has something wrong with him. He's lying about this crime scene. And then when all the jocks that were bullying Ethan were all cheering and clapping him and being like, yeah, Harrison, you're the hero. Yeah, you took out Ethan, the school shooter. Sickening and disgusting. And then Harrison has that awful, awful moment where he's just like, actually, he was also a victim too. And I'm like, yeah, you're victim, Harrison, you psycho. And I get that there's meant to be a bit of subtext there where it's like talking about how everyone's got a bit of hero and villain in them. There's a bit of like, it's like all grey and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's all Game of Thrones. It's all grey characters, no heroes and villains. Sure. But man, he was bullied by those jocks. But those jocks didn't destroy his life and slash him open and almost kill him. Like, you've ruined him, dude. Like, he's your victim. Yeah, he's a victim. He's your victim. Oh, Harrison, you've crossed the line. Pretending to be hero, but it's so Dexter. And that's why it's so fascinating, it's so exciting, and it's terrifying. Like, I really didn't see the show going this far, this quickly. It's kind of what I wanted, but now it's happened. I'm like, oh my god, is this what I wanted? Maybe I wanted Harrison to actually be a good guy and not to be a serial killer. Dexter has this moment where he realizes that Harrison has almost kind of done Harry's code, because Ethan might have been a school shooter. But I argue that Ethan was just a sad, tormented, boy who was just like bullied endlessly, and he was just drawing fantasies out. But drawing a picture of killing someone does not mean you're going to go out and buy a gun, and then lead to a school shooting like he might have. I'm not saying he wasn't going to, but we never really got that second stage to go, oh no, he's going to do it. Like, all of Harrison's lies about the school shooting stuff was just all lies, because he just stabbed Ethan out of nowhere. So I think that Harrison being part of Harry's code, I really don't think he's up to scratch. I think Harrison's going to push it beyond that, but I think that's hopefully going to cause a lot of tension between him and Dexter once it all kind of comes out and stuff, which I think is really, really interesting, because at this point, Harrison, not up to Harry's code. So, we find this hidden blade, and oh my god, did I scream. Now, sometimes I can get a little bit animated while watching a show, but oh, did I scream. Never did I expect Harrison to already have his own rituals in place, his own perverse Dexter code, kind of Harry's code kind of thing going on. But we find out that the blade that he attacked Ethan with is in fact the same blade that Trinity used to kill his mother. What? Oh no. Harrison is way more far gone than I thought he was. Like, this is crazy. He's got his own rituals with using the same blade that killed his mother. My lord, scary, terrifying stuff. Deb is like crying and screaming in the back of the shot, which I'm actually really enjoying. I'm like, hey, she's active for once. That's good. But then, focus all on Dexter, our main character. And, I'm like going, okay, Harrison's like the main character of the show right now. Are you going to give me something that makes me want to, follow Dexter? Because it's called Dexter New Blood. It's not called Dexter, in brackets, Harrison is the new blood. It's like, give me something for Dexter to really sink his teeth into. We've had the blood spatter analysis scene, which was incredible, but give me something more. But I didn't want this. Oh my lord. Maybe I did, but oh. So, he sees the knife. He has proof, actual proof, that Harrison has the Dark Passenger in him. And then he looks with horror and sadness. But then, joy seeps into his eyes. We get a sparkle in his eyes, and it's horrifying. It's spectacular. And then, a smile. Dexter smiles. Dexter is happy that his son is a Dark Passenger, psychopath, evil murderer like he is. And I absolutely did not see this coming. I don't know why. I've always been wanting Harrison to have a Dark Passenger. I've always been thinking that this is like, we're either going one way or the other with this. And as soon as this episode started really getting going halfway through, it was obvious what was happening. But Dexter's reaction, I could never have guessed. I could not believe it. I thought he'd be sad and horrified that Harrison is like him. But no. How is he ever going to relate to Harrison? How is he ever going to be a father to Harrison if they're so different? He has this monster inside him. And if Harrison has nothing like that inside him, they'll never be able to bond and truly be, father and son. But now they have the same horrible Dark Passenger inside them. And Dexter looks bloody happy. And that's the most horrifying, terrifying, exciting, incredible. I'm so excited for what's coming next. Michael C. Hall is just absolutely killing it this season. He's so amazing. Those final moments, those final 3 milliseconds of that joy in his eyes and that little smile before the credits cut could be some of the best stuff we've seen in Dexter in the whole series. So much of what is teased and set up in the original series was season 1 with Dexter being born in blood, then season 4 with Trinity killing Rita and Harrison being born in blood, and now it's all coming full circle in this final series. It's really, really exciting. But I do wonder, are people keen on this? Do people want Harrison to be a Dark Passenger, Dexter-esque type character? Do they kind of want him to be the heart of the show? At first I was really unsure. Now it's happening. I'm really, really on board with it. I'm really, really excited where this show is going. But I wonder if this is maybe a step in the wrong direction for some people. I'm super curious though, because I think this is the way the show should go. But yeah, comment below. I'd love to hear people's theories. Do people want Dexter to be doing a podcast in prison at the end of the series? Do they want Harrison to kill Dexter? Do they want them both to kill each other, Romeo and Juliet style or something? I don't know. I'm really interested to hear and see theories and all that stuff. Bloody 4 down, 6 to go. Whoa, couldn't be more keen. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, do all the bloody things. And check out my other podcasts, 2 Brothers, 1 Pilot, Top and Tail, and Spoiler Talk. Links in the description.